In this video, you'll learn all about the English S and Z. I'll focus most on the Z pronunciation, but I'll also review the S pronunciation too, and teach you how to know when to pronounce the letter S with a Z sound. Now, many languages have the S sound, so that may be easy for you. But fewer languages have the Z sound. And even if you have the Z sound in your language, you may not recognize words that have a Z sound, since many times the Z sound in English is spelled with the letter S. So stay tuned to learn all about the spelling and pronunciation of the S and Z sounds in English, and get in some practice with S and Z words and sentences too. Both S and Z are common sounds in English, so it's important to master their correct pronunciation and be familiar with common words that include these sounds. Both the S and Z sounds are made with the same mouth position. Now let's take a look at the characteristics of the S sound. What did you notice there with my mouth? Well, first, my lips are a bit spread and my mouth is nearly closed. See how my teeth almost touch? And you can see my tongue through my teeth. My tongue is pushed forward in my mouth, but it doesn't touch the front teeth. However, you do feel the sides of your tongue touching the inside of your back front teeth. And you'll feel the air pass over the top of your tongue. Now let's try that all together. And now we'll try the S in some common words. Summer, soon, sister, and save. Okay, now let's produce the Z sound. In order to do that, all we have to do is add voicing to the S sound. So we're going to start with the S mouth position, and then we're going to turn on our vocal cords. Can you see that my mouth looks exactly the same for both S and Z? So to turn on the vocal cords, you're going to feel the vibration here in the hollow of your throat as you do that. Now let's start with the name Sue. And we're going to add voicing to that S at the beginning of Sue to make the word zoo. So let's start with Sue. Sue. Zoo. Zoo. Now, you might want to feel your vocal cords to make sure they're vibrating when we do this. Sue. Zoo. Now the voice needs to be turned on at the start of the S sound. An error I sometimes hear is turning on the voice too late. So if you have trouble with the Z sound, let's turn on the voice first and then add the S sound. Let's just start with a neutral vowel sound at the beginning. Now all vowel sounds are voiced, so really any vowel sound will work here. So let's just do something neutral. We'll just do So you notice by starting with a vowel sound that has voicing already, your voice is already turned on when you add that S to it. Now let's practice that Z in words that start with a Z sound. Zone, zipper, zebra, and the name Zach. Now how about trying some words where the Z is in the middle of the word? Reason, visit, easy, thousand, business, amazing, frozen, organization, and puzzle. And finally, there are many common words that end with a Z sound, like was, his, because, please, always, news, raise, exercise, jobs, days, changes, loves, freeze, realize, size, and jazz. Now, what have you noticed about the spelling of the Z sound? Well, when the Z sound begins a word, it's almost always spelled with a Z. But really, that's a bit unusual in English. We don't really start a lot of words with a Z sound. There are just a few. In fact, there is only one word in the top 5,000 most common English words that begins with a Z, and that's zone. If you look at words that have a Z sound in the middle, there are many. But note their spelling. A few are spelled with a Z and one with a double Z, but most of them are spelled with an S. So how do you know whether the middle S is pronounced S or Z? Well, that's fairly easy. If the S has a vowel sound both before and after it, it will be pronounced as a Z, like in the words season, disease, present, design, result, music, and position. An exception to this rule is words that have the prefix re, like in research and resource. Those middle S's after the RE are still pronounced with an S sound. And here's an easy rule. If the word is spelled with a Z, pronounce it with a Z sound. Now, if the middle S has a consonant before or after it, it's usually pronounced as an S. Examples include also, ask, last, system, question, person, history, and industry. But here's a common exception, the word husband. That S is still pronounced as a Z. Now, I'd like to mention a super common exception word. The word pizza, with its double Z spelling, you would expect it to be pronounced like a Z, but it is not pronounced with a Z in this word. It is actually pronounced pizza in both American and British English. It's unusual for a word spelled with a Z to not be pronounced with a Z sound, but this is an easy exception for you to remember. For more details and practice with the word pizza, please see my video, How to Pronounce Pizza. Now let's look at word endings. If a word ends in ZE or Z, it's pronounced Z. Examples include quiz, jazz, buzz, size, prize, breeze, organize, and specialize. An exception to this rule are the few words that end with TZ. Now those are pronounced with an S. These are rare and include words like Hertz, waltz, and Ritz-Carlton. Now if a word ends in a double S, it's pronounced S, like in business, across, success, class, and process. So the biggest difficulty determining whether an ending is pronounced S or Z is with SE endings. They can have either an S or a Z pronunciation. But there are a few helpful tips for guessing which pronunciation to use. So grammatical function words ending in S or SE are usually pronounced Z. Examples of those include these, those, whose, please, because, always, sometimes, otherwise, themselves, ourselves, his, hers, theirs, does, is, and was. Now, if a word refers to a nationality or a language and it ends in ESE, it's pronounced with a Z sound. Examples include Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Siamese, computerese, and legalese. Now, if there's a consonant immediately before the SE ending, like an L, an N, or an R, it's pronounced S, like in false, nurse, universe, horse, diverse, expense, license, and response. There are a few words ending in SE that can be both a noun and a verb, or an adjective and a verb. In these cases, the SE endings of nouns and adjectives will be pronounced with an S sound, and the SE endings on the verbs will be pronounced with a Z sound. Examples of this include close and close, use and use, abuse and abuse, refuse and refuse, and house and house. Now, the majority of the rest of the SE ending words are voiced, so you will pronounce them with a Z sound. Examples include lose, raise, choose, cause, rise, disease, exercise, surprise, propose, nose, oppose, expose, noise, accuse, cheese, pose, phase, advise, and pause. But there are a few that are in the top 3,000 most common words where the SE is pronounced S. And these include case, base, increase, purpose, release, promise, and purchase. Now, I recommend just memorizing these few words. And if you're in doubt, guess that the SE ending is voiced if it's not one of those few words. But the best thing really to do is to check in a dictionary or to ask a native speaker to pronounce it for you. Now, wow, that was a lot of rules. I hope I didn't confuse you. Oh, did you hear that word that I just said? Confuse. Did that have an S or a Z ending? Listen again if you're not sure. Now let's try the Z sound in some sentences now. What's the reason for your visit? Whose shoes are these? Did you choose to study Chinese or Japanese in school? What does your husband's company design? Zach asked the president for a raise. My doctor advised me to exercise more to prevent disease. Wow, that was a long video. I hope it was helpful for you. If so, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment and share it with your friends. Here are a few other videos that might be helpful for you. Thanks for watching.